Hi ladies and gentlemen, today is March 8th, 2014. When I'm recording this, we'll have bits and pieces of a recording that we made on March 7th. Unfortunately, I didn't take the camera with me. We had to use a cell phone to take the video, and we weren't able to get very much. That may have been a good thing, however, because we were basically unknowns, strangers, and we may have made these people a little more nervous than we really intended to. What am I talking about? Well, you know about the Bundys, I suppose, in Bunkerville, Nevada, have been invaded by the Federals, BLM primarily, to seize their cattle and basically to ruin them and even put their lives in danger all over supposedly a couple of things. One is a supposedly rare desert tortoise, which I understand isn't rare at all. That's just an excuse, sort of like what the feds used on some of the gold mines not far from here, saying that there were endangered species there, some type of deer, when there aren't even any deer there, period. That was several years ago. But anyway, that's the first thing, supposedly over some rare tortoise. And the second thing is that there was apparently a 1993, I guess, change in policy. It might be a regulation, I'm not sure. It really doesn't matter. The point is it was designed to shut down ranching for people like the Bundys in Bunkerville. Has nothing to do with anything other than control and the whole Agenda 21 BS. Yeah, I'll call it that. So I came to visit Brand, and we decided that we would go to Bunkerville, to the area. Actually, I thought we were going to go to their home, but they had a place on the highway going into town where the feds say they have to have their First Amendment zone. Well, they got out of that anyway. Good on them, but their son had been arrested the day before for merely taking pictures from the highway of the cattle rustling that the federal government is engaged in. I guess they beat him up and took him to jail, so we kind of missed that. Again, I didn't take pictures of the rally. Those are extant on the internet now anyway, but we were there with the poles that say "We the People," and freedom and all of that. But again, we didn't have a camera, which was a little unfortunate, but may have been a blessing in disguise. So what am I talking about here? Well, look, you know, how long do we petition God to right these unjust actions by this criminal, unlawful, disgusting, despicable government? You know, they do everything they can to cause trouble for the little people and do nothing to stop the true criminals that run the government and the corporations. And I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of that here. You know, somebody's going to go, nah, you know. Well, frankly, you know, remember the old saying, you know, I didn't do anything when they came for so-and-so, and I didn't do anything when they came from that group of people, and I didn't do anything when they came for that group of people, but now they're coming for me and there's nobody here to help me. Well, you're going to find yourself in that kind of predicament, because this government's out for everybody's slaughter. The people that run this thing are out for the destruction of mankind, if you can't figure that out. Anyway, so getting back on the deal here, Brand and I went out there, and what you're going to see is an ancient Israelite ritual, part of it. We didn't take the entire thing. Again, it was a blessing in disguise. It's probably best that we didn't upset these people any more than necessary, since they don't know who we are. But we took some of our rituals, our ordinance type of attire, and went out there, and basically what you're going to see is a part of that when we begin down by the river. That's the only part we really videoed, down by the river, where we're doing the preparations for the other stuff that we do later. You will hear the shofar blown. No, this isn't just the Jewish custom, you know. As a matter of fact, the Jews are really nothing more than a microcosm of Israel, the old Israel. So You know, we're concerned about Israel and Israelites, and even more than that, just God's love for mankind, our own love for our brothers and sisters that we should have. So we went out there and did this little thing where we're asking God to step in and destroy the attempts by this illicit, tyrannical government. What else can I say? What else can I say? Criminals, you know, outlaws. You know, they've taken the mafia and put it in the government, and now I mean, it's like in the Ukraine. I diverge a lot, right? I always do. You know, Obama tells Europe and Russia that he's going to impose sanctions on them if they oppose this whole thing with the internet and put up their own internet. You know, who the hell do we think we are? You know, yeah, we want to control the whole world. It's real obvious. Paul Craig Roberts does some really great articles on that if you want to read those. Go to his website. But that's what it's all about. You know, we'll impose sanctions. You know, that's like paying protection money to the mafia. That's criminal. I'm sorry, we've got criminals running this place. And they're out there in Bunkerville right now harassing these people who, if you see this desert out there, and you'll see parts of it, can you imagine trying to eke out an existence, especially cattle in a place like that? And these feds are going to go out there and make it even more, or out there making it even more difficult for these people? Back on the issue here. So we ask God to intervene, to stop the war by the federal government upon little people like the Bundys and the smaller ranchers out there, and also to protect the people that are showing the courage to stand up against this Leviathan, behemoth, Luciferian government. I'm sorry. The United States, as I've said a long time ago and all along, is no longer the bastion of freedom in the world. This is the evil empire. So we'll go ahead and we'll show you a little bit about what we did there. I'm going to have Brand talk a little bit to you here in a little bit. Hopefully this isn't too long. I do want to say one more thing, and I'm sure Brand will say it too. You know, I'm standing in front of an LDS church right now. It's not far from where Brand lives. And I want to tell you, you Mormons, as I did here not long ago, you Catholics, you Baptist preachers, any of you supposed men of God who refuse to do the thing that God commands you to do, and that is to call the leaders of tyrannical, diabolical nations to repentance. You refuse to do that. Oh, some of you are, but not the Mormon prophet. Not the Pope does more than the Mormon prophet does, but still not to the level it needs to be done. You know, little people like Bran and I shouldn't have been down there in Bunkerville. I'm not saying we couldn't be, but that's not the issue. The issue is, where are these supposed prophets and preachers and these people that are supposed to speak for God? You know, in the Old Testament and even in the New, the prophets prophesied against the leaders of the nations when they did wrong. And you guys just won't do it. You want to talk about little people and their tobacco or drinking or sex problems so that you keep them in guilt. And I'm sorry, but those aren't sins, not by and large. You know, buttoning up your collar. What was that thing that Thomas Monson said here? Button up your collar for modesty on the men. You know, you strain at a gnat and you swallow a camel. You're whited sepulchres, just like Jesus said. You guys. No, you'll be talking to them, but you won't call this government to power. And I know why. Because you are part of their corporate structure. You are Luciferians. You are at the top Luciferians. And you Mormons better wake up. And you Baptists and you Presbyterians, whoever, if your preacher isn't out there, if your spiritual leader isn't out there condemning this illicit, unlawful, disgusting government because he wants to keep his 501c3 status, or because they've come in there and said, the feds, like they have, that said, you guys need to spy on your people for us and we'll pay you for it. You'll be the good guy when all this is over with. We'll take care of you. You're traitors, not just to man, but to God. All right. We'll go ahead and let Brand say a few words. And to the people out there in Bunkerville and to the Bundys in particular, I hope you don't mind us showing a little bit of this. A lot of you people took pictures of us while we were there, and that was okay. We We just didn't want to interrupt too much because we knew this was going to be really different for you. God bless you. We ask God to curse this evil federal government and all those who do their bidding. All of them. And I saw this morning where Greystone and Academy are in the Ukraine, mercenaries, and primarily United States ex-military. And this is what I was so complaining about before. These guys go where the money is, not what's morally right or wrong. And you can bet, the federal government is in some sort of a dark fund somewhere, or maybe even out in the open, funding that in Ukraine. We are the evil empire. The United States is the most disgusting government on the face of the earth. It is Babylon. It is Rome in the height of its decadence. I'm not going to cuss here. I mean this. God damn you, Obama. God damn you, everyone who supports you. God damn you, Congress, for not standing up for your oaths of office. And no, I hope God doesn't have mercy on your worthless, disgusting, murderous, lying souls.
In the name of the great Elohim, and the great Jehovah, and the great patriarchs, Joshua, Jeremiah, Elijah, and others, we blow the trump of God, that the righteous may come hither, and that the wicked should be responsible for the blood on their own heads.
Amen. Amen.
Ho Adonai Eloheinu, Ai Barak Bakodesh Hatzia Eta Maim, Bagetra Haim, Baha Beit Yisrael, Laha Mikodesh Malkitzedek Kahunone, La Hashemo, Bahashem Yoshua HaMashiach. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Oh Father, I bless this water for the ordinances in the house of Israel. And I wash my feet against the corrupt leaders of this nation and in the world. And ask you to take away the blood and sins of this generation from me and from my brothers and sisters, and to cast them upon the evil leaders of this nation.
Here's your loving government and corporations at work. They're spraying again today. You can tell, see that jet way up there? That's a contrail. That's a regular type of condensation trail. I don't know if you can see that right there. But then these two that you see here are actually three of them that are spreading out, and they're persistent. Those are chemtrails. And if you don't know what they are, I know most of you do, but if you don't know what they are, you need to find out, because that's your government trying to kill you.
Good morning, folks. This is, this is kind of a trying time. I'm gonna try and speak louder. I kind of lost my voice yesterday from all the screaming I was doing. Roy and I went about 80 miles north here, Las Vegas, to a community called Bunkerville, Nevada. Historically a Mormon community. I would say it's at least 80% Mormon to this day. They're being overrun there by federal agents, violating their oath of office. They are stealing private property, Clyde Bundy's cattle. One of his sons tried to document it, got his camera out, and because he was not in what they call a First Amendment zone, he was assaulted.
But he was on the major highway. He was on the highway.
Yeah, he was on public property. He was beat up. They said a canine on him and took him to jail, arrested him. There are some pictures of him right now that you can see on the internet where he was beat up pretty badly. His face is bruised, and this is getting ridiculous. Well, it's been ridiculous for some time. But the fact of the matter is, I think this is a lot bigger than first appearances. Something's going on here. You know, this is right off a major thoroughfare, I-15. All of Southern California, Southern Nevada depend upon I-15 for transportation, for goods and services coming in. And it's a bottleneck there. It goes to the Virgin River Gorge. If you cut that off, you have isolated some major metropolitan areas. And once you get into Utah there on the other side of Virgin River, you have a lot of farming communities, ranching communities that supply a lot of food. Clyde Bundy's ranch is a major supplier of beef. So I think there's something else going on here. Roy and I were there yesterday. We took a look around. There's some interesting things taking place. It looked like they actually commandeered a motel. They got it all taped off with yellow tape. They're the only ones that are in there. They're driving up and down the roads. They're everywhere. Clive and his family and other people have said they have seen snipers on the hills. This is insane. This is a hostile takeover of the United States of America. I have a strong suspicion that, the truth be known, we'd find out these federal agents are either UN troops. They're calling them contractors. You know, they could be anything. So maybe UN troops taking a little bit too far, but I truly believe, so just a few that I saw.
We're the same mercenaries that are in Ukraine right now.
Exactly.
Academy and Greystone.
Exactly.
Those evil bastards. Sorry, Brian. I'm pissed today.
I appreciate all the help I can get. The few that I saw, it just looked like typical Eastern European types. You know, I didn't get a chance to get up close and personal. I really wanted to, but there is a certain amount of conjecture on my part in saying that. It's a gut feeling more than anything. But when I see this prototype, you see them everywhere. This prototype new soldier, this prototype new law enforcement. They look like they're all on steroids, buffed out, militarized. They're bald. And anytime you see a young guy that doesn't have a hair on his head, he's just bald as a billiard, you can almost bet that he's been doing steroids. That's one of the first things that goes, is their hair. Okay, again, a little bit of conjecture on my part, but I don't really think I'm fishing on this. Okay, change the subject a little bit. Roy and I went there. We did, what was it, 3-part ritual. It's an Old Testament ritual. It's founded in some really solid principles, biblical principles. Roy kind of blessed the water for the righteous. There's a river that goes right by there. We went right to the river. Roy blessed the water for the righteous, and I cursed it for the wicked. So I think we covered all our bases on there. We blew the shofar, which is the trump of God that is found in the Old Testament. And there's a scripture, I believe it's in Jeremiah. I haven't read it in a while, but it says, when you hear the trumpet, when the enemy comes in the land, blow the trump of God and come hither. And those that don't come hither will be responsible for their own blood upon their heads. okay? It's like a rallying call for the righteous to prepare to meet the enemy.
No greater love hath a man than this, than to lay down his life for his fellow man.
Exactly. America's under attack. It's been going on a long time. Unfortunately, I think everybody is watching the basketball game last night, and you know, they take your attention away from all the really important things. This airplane that has disappeared, and meanwhile they're doing all kinds of other stuff, but everybody's glued to the TV on these diversions. Meanwhile, they're moving in mass, and they're taking over your God-given constitutional rights. Now that I mentioned Constitution, I want to talk about one other thing. We're standing here in front of the Mormon Church. I told you Bunkerville is primarily Mormon. I would say at least 80%. The founder of the Mormon Church, a man by the name of Joseph Smith, was a strict constitutionalist. He even made a statement that we would be fools to live any law that is not constitutional.
And any more or less than this cometh of evil.
And in the Mormon,
at this stage of our existence.
And in the Mormon scriptures, it tells, it actually has God speaking. If you want to believe that or not, that's up to you. The point being, these are their scriptures, the Mormon scriptures. They believe those, that was God speaking.
Well, they claim to believe them.
Yeah, they claim to
Sorry,
believe.
folks,
If
I am a little
they really believe
upset.
it, they'll get their butts out there and do something, okay? And it says, as Roy just said, anything more or less than the Constitution of the United States cometh of evil. My question right now for all the Mormons, you claim to have a prophet by Thomas Monson, okay? Where is he now? Or all of those church leaders, where are they right now? You're not hearing anything from them, and I'll guarantee you won't hear anything from them. So, I just wanted to make a point of that.
Who do they work for? Do they work for God, or do they work for a corporate structure, an admiralty law, a 501c3, and a Luciferian cult that's taken over this country?
Roy just made a very good point. They are a corporation. You pick up their scriptures, go to the first page, it says it's a corporation. By definition, a corporation is admiralty law or corporate law, okay, which nullifies your Bill of Rights, the Constitution of the United States. So, in the Mormon scriptures,
Well,
says,
it tries to. Technically, it can't over the land,
yeah,
but they've done that illegally.
Technically can't. It's a ruse. In the Mormon scriptures, it says he redeemed this land by the shedding of blood, okay, and that we were supposed to live the law of the land. The law of the land is the Constitution of the United States.
Common law.
Common law. He specified law of the land as opposed to maritime law or admiralty law, which is a tyranny on the high seas. Okay, so all you Mormons that get that wrong at whatever they come down, the government comes down to the pike with and says this is now the law. You know better, and you have no excuse. Okay, well, folks, this really has reached dire proportions. I want to know where. I live in Las Vegas. Where is Sheriff Gillespie? You took an oath. You're a Mormon. Okay? I understand that you were a stake president at one time. Where are you? Where are the Nevada militia? Where is the military on this? Nellis Air Force Base is just a few miles away. You could at least just go and have a show of force, send an A-10 Warthog over there. I know a lot of those military people. I've done a lot of work for them in the past. Okay, everybody needs to wake up now. What's going on in our country? This is
Remember
not
Boston,
good.
some thousands of militarized police going through there, violating everything about the Constitution, the very birthplace of our nation. And you've got this going on, those people in Massachusetts. I remember hearing Josie Outlaw saying, what's wrong with these people? You guys are a bunch of wusses in Massachusetts, It's the same thing here. You got to get up and do something. You can't let these people walk over you. Alex Jones makes a good point. If you lay down when a lion comes, he's gonna eat you. You have got to stand up and look as big as you can and be as loud as you can. I'm sorry, Bran. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm really ticked about this.
Yes. Well, that makes two of us. Roy and I plan on going back out there today. We're going to try to document everything we can as what's happening. And we're going to get this information out, every bit of it, and try to rally some support for this little community. These are salt of the earth people. These people they've managed to eke out a living off a desert. Okay, I've been around farmers and ranchers for a good part of my life. I lived up in Montana for 18 years, and my relatives come from real strong ranching background. These are strong ranching communities, and you know, when I looked at what they had there compared to what Clyde Bundy has as far as the land, I don't know how the cattle survive. I don't know how he makes any money whatsoever. I'm willing to bet they live from year to year, you know, and they've kept it in the family. It's a wonderful lifestyle. They have wonderful children. We had an opportunity to talk to some of them yesterday. Real strong family ties. We're talking the salt of the earth type people.
And this government wants to destroy that American spirit and those American people. We cannot let this happen. We can't see another Waco. We can't.
This is rugged, individual, old Western values, okay? And I hope you understand what I'm saying there. Hard work, and these people get up before the sun comes up. They go down. They work until the sun goes down, and then they get home and they work some more. You know, I know how tough ranching can be. I know how tough farming can be. Okay, these people don't ask for anything but to live their lives as Americans. And we can't just stand by idly and let this happen. Now, Roy and I, we're just two people. You know, we're going to try and get out there and get in the thick of things and try to get documented. I don't know what else we can do. You know, we want to bring it to America's attention. We want to bring it to your attention and get some rallying support for these people. Okay?
Don't just listen to the talking heads on TV that are there to put you to sleep, to make you think that the government has every right in the world to do this and nobody can stand up to them. No. They work for us, not the other way around. And Brandon, I'd like you to talk about the tortoise real quick. What?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting thing. This is supposedly all about a turtle, the tortoise. Well, last year, well, let me back up even further. For some years now, they've had this tortoise program, this turtle program that anybody can get involved with here in Las Vegas. And, you know, the Fish and Game would bring you over a pair of turtles. It'd help you set up your the environment in your backyard. I've seen them. I asked what they were. What are those things? And they go, well, that's our turtle shelter, our tortoise shelter. We're working with Fish and Game. That's the first I ever heard of it, is on a one-on-one basis. And then I actually read about it. And what they do is they breed turtles. And, you know, then they take them after they hatch out and they give them to, I think they keep them for 1 year because their shells got to get hard enough so that the crows can't peck through their shells and kill the baby turtles and eat them. So, and after 1 year, Fish and Game comes and gets these turtles, takes them out to certain, what you call, you know, good environmental areas for these turtles, and they release them. Well, last year in the newspaper, they said, no more. We got more turtles we know what to do with. You got some turtles? Keep them. We don't want them anymore. Okay? They're overrun their habitat with turtles. They're talking about this as, you know, the environmentalists, the government, it's about turtles? No. Give me a break. It's not about turtles. It is about control and power over you, America. That's what it's about. And they're starting with people like Clyde Bundy. You got to get that straight. You're next. We're going to go down the same road as Nazi Germany if we continue to let this happen.
There.
Well, actually, we're so close because you know what? These people have technology that Adolf Hitler never had. NSA control. They can you know, monitor every single thing that you do. They're trying to get all documentations of anybody who has a firearm. You know what, folks? Once they disarm you, look out. There's concentration camps just north here called FEMA camps, okay? They will put you in there. They will destroy your families. They will destroy everything that you love about America.
Read it in their white papers, folks. This is nothing that you shouldn't know about. If you just do a little research, you'll find it. Thanks, Brand. One more thing. I want you to address Thomas Monson directly. I want you to say this directly to him, whatever you want.
Well, I'd have to actually go back further than Thomas Monson. For people that don't know, I was a convert to the Church of Jesus Christ for Latter-day Saints. I was a missionary. I was a very successful missionary. I led the Montana, Wyoming mission and baptisms, conversions for 2 years. I was totally dedicated to the church. At one time I was a 70, actually in the 7th Quorum of that stake, 7th Quorum of 70s. And I became aware of certain things. One of them we just talked about, corporate church. They just do whatever the government tells them. This is going all the way back to the early 1900s. They took everybody off the United Order, forced them on the Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve System is a Ponzi scheme that does nothing but eventually enslave all peoples. And there are members of the church that were being excommunicated, kicked out, if they were not paying their taxes. That money goes right into the pockets of the Luciferians.
Who do abortions, who cause wars, who steal land, who steal, pension funds, who poison your kids. Sorry, Brian, I had to throw that.
That's great.
You're paying them to kill you.
In the Mormon scriptures, it talks about, the Lord himself talks about the law of consecration. That you consecrate your time, your talents to the building up of the kingdom of God. Well, to all the Mormons out there, you've been building up the Luciferian kingdom since the early 1900s. And you need to rise up. Now, Thomas Monson, I got a friend that just was excommunicated. I hope he doesn't mind if I use his name. His name is John Colthrop. And they excommunicated him because he refused to support Thomas Monson. And it's not just Thomas Monson, but they want a written thing, I will support. Oh wow, isn't that wonderful? You've got to coerce people to support somebody.
And they have these votes where once a year in the church, if you'll sustain the prophet, seer, and revelator of the church. Well, now you can't even say, no, I don't. Well, then why even have a vote if you're going to get thrown out of the church? Yeah. You Mormons got to wake up.
You got to wake up. You need to look at those supposed leaders. You need to ask them some very poignant questions, some strong questions on what side they stand on the Constitution of the United States, what side they stand on the people, true spirituality.
On their own scriptures.
Yeah, they're hypocrites. They don't even follow their own scriptures. It's pitiful. It's pathetic. I have had a standing invitation to debate any church leader in any public forum, okay? Any public forum. I've never been taken. The closest I did was a man by Dr. Kenneth Sellers at Rick's College some years ago. And I was a very young man at the time, not real informed, not really polished in the scriptures as I am now. And guess what? He was an embarrassment. I was embarrassed for him. He had no answers. When they excommunicated me, I asked the same questions. They had no answers. That is the very definition of hypocrisy. The very definition of hypocrisy. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay? So, it's disgusting. And I think that's about all I got to say at this point.
I'm going to come in here with you, Brandon. No, stay here, stay here. Back up a little bit so we can both get in the frame. I want to apologize to all of you out there who are not Mormons because we've spent a lot of time on this, but understand this is Mormon country, okay? And this church called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this is one of their ward houses right here. Is this a steakhouse, Brandon?
It's a ward.
Okay. The fact of the matter is that these people out there that are about ready to get their property stolen or aren't getting it stolen or even possibly murdered by this government or by agents of this government who may even be mercenaries just like Academy or Greystone that are over in the Ukraine or UN troops, we don't know who they are, okay? But these people are members of that church, and that's why we're taking so much time to talk about this. Remember in Latin America when the Catholic priests stood up against the guerrillas and against the governments that were killing their little people, a lot of those priests were killed, okay? Where are your Mormon leaders? Okay, so for the people that aren't Mormons, just understand, if you're spiritual leaders, whoever you want to call them, like I said earlier, preachers, your reverends, your prophets, your presidents, I don't care what you call them, popes, I don't care. If they're not standing up for principle and calling these governments out for the evil that they are doing, they are not of God.
I'd like to make one statement to underwrite that. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. It's very, very simple. If they're not part of the solution, they are part of the problem. Don't forget that.
Thanks, folks. We'll give you another rundown on this.